What do these things have in common? Haunted house, indoor paintball course, homeless shelter, nightclub for fetishists, monastery. Their proposed uses for brand new, very expensive, beautiful, and empty prisons. Want a great deal on bunk beds? Up to 2009, we were stacking them up like firewood, with prisons overflowing and estimates of growth that would have knocked your socks off. After all, we were #1 when it comes to incarcerating our own, right? So to their credit, government officials were busy building more prisons. Finally, they were trying to stay ahead of the curve. Of course, the private prison industry's enlightened self-interest didn't hurt. But then the unthinkable happened. Our ever-increasing prison population stopped being ever-increasing, and in fact began to decrease. And boy, those prisons look sweet. But they cost a bloody fortune to build, and they're pretty pricey to maintain. The problem with prisons, unlike, say, government office buildings, is that they aren't easily repurposed. I mean, how many remakes of Jailhouse Rock do you need? And they tend to build prisons in places where there aren't a lot of people because it's not really good for real estate values in the better neighborhoods. The decline in the prison rate is a good thing. No longer are Americans so much more dangerous than Chinese or Russians that we require them to be imprisoned en masse. But there's a lesson here, particularly in a nation of crumbling roads and bridges, not to mention the occasional war on foreign soil. Associated with every idea that seems superficially appealing at the moment is a cost. When we were a nation fearful of crime, of terrorists, of wilding teens in hoodies, we created new crimes, made sentences longer and more severe, and built very secure prisons to both warehouse these criminals and provide jobs in depressed rural congressional districts. So now we're sitting on a ton of empty beds, empty cells for non-existent prisoners since we figured out that this was not the best thing for our country. Sure, there are some sad potential prison guards, but that can't be helped. And given the many associated problems, it's the least of our worries. So now, in the godforsaken boonies, there are shining hulks of buildings that are unused and will never be used. Those could have been your schools or bridges, but instead they're prisons. If you're in the market for one, I can get you a pretty good deal. But you need to consider one warning. It's really not good for much of anything but a prison.